right now. Your fingers, whatever they're resting on, that surface feels real, solid, undeniable. It's lying to you, not partially, not metaphorically, completely. You have never, not once in your entire life, made physical contact with a single object, not the ground beneath you, not the person you love most, not your own face, and the reason why is going to permanently change how you see existence. Let's start with the most unremarkable thing you do 1,000 times a day. You sit in a chair, weight presses down, chair presses up. Simple physics, Newton would nod. You feel it, so it's real. End of story. Except, zoom in, past your skin, past the cells, past the molecules, down to the actual architecture of matter. What you find is not what you expect. Atoms are almost entirely nothing. If you took a hydrogen atom and blew it up to the size of a football stadium, the nucleus, the dense center where almost all the mass lives, would be a marble sitting at midfield. The electron, it would not be in the bleachers. It would not be orbiting like a tiny moon. The electron would be a blur, a probability cloud, simultaneously occupying every seat in that stadium at once, with no fixed location until the moment you force it to have one. So what you call solid matter is not solid. It is not even mostly matter. It is almost entirely structured emptiness, shaped and held by invisible rules. This is not a poetic metaphor. This is the literal architecture of the chair beneath you right now. So where does solidity come from? Where does that firm, undeniable resistance come from? If matter is mostly nothing, the answer is not more matter. The answer is law. When your hand approaches a table, two things happen, and neither of them is what you think. First, the electron clouds in your skin and the electron clouds in the table surface begin to sense each other at a distance. Because they carry the same negative charge, they repel, the electromagnetic force pushing back harder with every millimeter of approach. You never get close enough to touch. The electromagnetic wall stops you long before contact. But here's where it gets genuinely strange. Imagine you somehow overrode that repulsion. Imagine you pushed so hard that those electron clouds were forced toward each other anyway. You would hit a second wall, one that makes the first look trivial. There is a rule in the universe that says no two electrons can ever occupy the same quantum state in the same place at the same time. Not as a suggestion, not as a strong preference, as an absolute impossibility. The universe does not contain that configuration. The mathematics produces a zero, a literal structural absence where that situation would exist. This is the Pauli Exclusion Principle. And here is what makes it unlike any other law in physics. There is no force enforcing it. No particle carries the message. No field transmits the prohibition. It is not a push. It is not a wall made of anything. It is the universe simply refusing to allow certain arrangements to exist. When you feel a table, you are not feeling a surface. You are feeling the boundary where the universe says, this state cannot be. The sensation you call touch, every texture you have ever felt, every surface you have ever pressed your hand against, is the geometry of existence enforcing its own rules against your body. You are not making contact with the world. You are being refused by. Now here is the turn that changes everything. If the sensation of touch is not contact but the enforcement of a law, what about the other forces? What about gravity? What about the weight you feel in your body right now? Is that a force pulling you down? No. And the story of how physicists discovered this is the most quietly revolutionary thing that has ever happened in science. For most of human history, gravity was a force. Newton described it with absolute precision, an invisible pull between masses reaching instantly across the void. Planets obeyed it, cannonballs obeyed it. It was the most successful theory ever constructed by a human mind, and it was accurately describing something that does not actually exist. What Einstein discovered is this: mass does not pull, mass bends. Every object with mass, the Earth, the Sun, you, curbs the fabric of space-time around itself. Not space alone, not time alone, the unified geometry of space-time. all 4 dimensions at once, bent and warped by the presence of mass, and objects moving through that warped geometry simply follow the shape they find themselves in. They are not being pulled. They are following the only path available in a universe that has been deformed by matter. Picture a stretched rubber sheet, flat and smooth. Place a heavy ball in the center. It creates a depression. Roll a marble across the sheet. It curves inward. From the marble's perspective, nothing is pulling it. It is simply moving through the geometry available to it. This is real. This is what happens. The moon is not being pulled toward the Earth. The moon is following the curve that Earth's mass has created in spacetime. It has been doing that continuously for 4 billion years, and not once has any force acted on it. Now consider what this means when you stand up. Earth's mass curves spacetime around it. You, as a piece of matter, would naturally follow that curvature, falling inward, tracing the path spacetime demands. What stops you is the ground. The electromagnetic repulsion and quantum exclusion in the floor's atoms refuse to allow the atoms of your feet to pass through. They push up. They are the only thing acting on the weight you feel right now. In your legs, your back, the soles of your feet is not gravity. That sensation is electromagnetism and quantum law pushing back against the universe's geometry. Gravity is not a force you feel. Gravity is the shape of reality. The push you feel is everything else refusing to let you follow it. Let's go deeper. You have known about magnets since childhood. They pull, they push. North attracts south. Simple. Except magnetism and electricity are not 2 separate forces. They are one force seen from 2 different speeds. A wire carrying current creates a magnetic field. A stationary charge nearby gets deflected. That is magnetism doing its work. Now move alongside that wire, matching the speed of the electrons inside it. From your new perspective, those electrons look stationary. The magnetic field should disappear. The deflection should vanish. It doesn't vanish. What happened is that changing your velocity changed the geometry of space-time around you. Specifically, the way distances and time intervals compress and expand as described by special relativity. The spacing between the charges in the wire now appears different from your moving frame. The wire looks electrically charged from your perspective, and that electric charge deflects the nearby particle. The exact same sideways push you were calling magnetism a moment ago. Magnetism is what electricity looks like when you change your speed, 2 names for one geometric effect, seen from different frames of motion. And this is not just beautiful physics. It runs the world you actually live in. GPS satellites orbit 20,000 kilometers above you. For your phone to find your location to within a few meters, their clocks must be extraordinarily precise. Those satellites are moving fast relative to you. The geometry of their velocity slows their time. They are also far from Earth's mass. The geometry of their distance from the curve of space-time speeds their time up. The 2 effects combine to a drift of roughly 38 microseconds every day. Light travels 11 kilometers in that time. Without correcting for the curvature of space-time, every GPS on Earth would be wrong by miles before noon. The engineers who built the system had to write Einstein's curved geometry directly into the code. The geometry of space-time is not a theoretical curiosity. It is infrastructure. Here is the deepest layer. The particles that make up everything you have ever seen or touched. Electrons, quarks, photons are not tiny solid objects sitting inside space. They are excitations in fields. A field is a mathematical property that space itself possesses at every point throughout the universe. The electron is not a marble dropped into this field. It is more like a knot, a concentrated, self-sustaining ripple that the field is tied into a stable configuration. A photon is a ripple that propagates. Mass itself is a property of how strongly a particular ripple couples to the Higgs field that permeates all of space-time. In this picture, which is the most accurate picture physics currently has, particles are not things that exist inside space. They are shapes that space has taken. The universe is not a container full of objects interacting through forces. The universe is a geometry that has folded itself into patterns. And those patterns experience each other as forces, pressures, weights, and the warmth of sunlight on skin. You are not an object moving through the universe. You are a configuration the universe has adopted in this particular region of space-time. Every atom in your body is a ripple in a quantum field. Every thought firing through your neurons is electrochemistry, governed by electromagnetic geometry. The warmth you feel is photons, ripples in the electromagnetic field, crossing 93 million miles of curved space-time to interact with your skin without ever quite touching it. The boundary between you and the world is not where skin meets surface. It is where one geometric pattern meets another, and both of them are expressions of the same underlying shape. You are not in the universe. You are a feature of it. There is one place in the universe where this all ends. When a massive star collapses, gravity crushes inward with such ferocity that the electromagnetic walls begin to fail. The quantum exclusion strains. Electrons are forced into protons. Ordinary atoms cease to exist. What remains is a neutron star, a sphere of neutrons packed to near impossibility, held together by a final, desperate application of exclusion law. The rule that neutrons themselves cannot fully overlap. At the center of a black hole, even that fails. The space-time curvature becomes so extreme that no quantum rule, no electromagnetic wall, no geometric negotiation can hold the structure of matter together. Everything we have discussed, the forbidden states, the repulsive fields, the probability clouds, collapses, and what exists at the singularity is beyond the reach of any physics we currently possess. This is the only place in the universe where the negotiation actually ends, where matter is forced, truly forced, to merge, where the geometry stops protecting its patterns and simply consumes them. Hold that darkness beside the stability you are sitting in right now, the fact that your atoms negotiate rather than collapse, that your electron clouds repel rather than merge, that you feel the floor rather than fall through it. None of this is trivially guaranteed. It is an achievement, the universe's geometry holding in a middle range between the void and the singularity. The ordinary world is what geometry looks like when it holds. We started with your fingers resting on a surface. What we found is this: the surface never met your fingers. The sensation was quantum law refusing a forbidden configuration. The weight in your body is curved space-time that you would follow inward if the ground didn't push back. The forces you have felt every moment of your life are not things acting on the universe from outside. They are what the universe's own shape feels like to a pattern moving through it from within. This is not a cold conclusion. It is a more intimate one than anything force-based physics ever offered, because it means the world is not reaching out to act on you. It is shaped around you. Every limit you have ever felt, every boundary, every resistance, every moment of finding something solid is the geometry of existence making itself known, the universe pressing its own constraints against your awareness, showing you where one pattern ends and another begins. You have never touched the world the way you imagined, but the geometry of the world has been holding your shape in place since the moment you arrived inside it. And every sensation you have ever called real, every pressure, every warmth, every texture, is just the universe recognizing itself.